Hello, Lena. I am so excited to talk to you today. Yay! So Lena does audio stuff. Is your YouTube channel
Yeah, well,
and
it's called LNA does audio stuff, but
LNA? Okay.
my name is Liina, so it's written with two I's and it can be very confusing for people, so I just put LNA.
Oh, that was a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have all your links below, so like YouTube, your Instagram, you're really active on. So I'll get all your links and I'll put them down below for everybody. Make sure you go check her out. And I was joking with my wife like the other day because her name is Finnish as well with the double A, and so
What?
she was like, "How?" Yeah,
Finish.
yeah, so she was like, you can say Lena the right way, and I'm like, I'm not really good at all these
Oh my God.
Finnish
Oh, I
things.
just never see Finnish people. Like, it's just so rare. So as soon as you see a Finnish person, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, no. So it was funny. I think I started following you on YouTube, but then I followed you on Instagram, or it might have been vice versa. I don't know. But I saw one comment you made a while ago about working at like the Moomin Park, and like that
Oh, zooming.
resonated. Yeah, because I was like, I know what a Moomin is.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a
So,
moving all my teenage years, 3 years I was a moving in my hometown, and that was the best job ever.
and for everybody who doesn't know what a Moomin is, would you like to give us a brief summary?
It's just a cartoon character, Finnish. It looks like a hippo. It's not a hippo. It's a white thing. It's actually little insects.
Yeah,
They're
man, I should have brought one with me. My kids, because my mother-in-law like brings stuff back from Finland, and it's for the kids. It's Moomin things, and
I
for
love that.
us, it's like Mary Meko
Oh,
stuff. So,
amazing, amazing. The weird
so
things that people know about Finland.
I
I mean,
know.
but then they don't know that Nokia and Angry Birds are Finnish.
Right, yeah, I knew
But
that. And I learned Nokia started out like making like rain boots or something. I don't know. That's what my
yeah.
mother-in-law tells me. So, all right. So we're not here for that, but I thought that was like fun to talk about. But I'd love for you to like just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing in music, because like we know you have the YouTube channel, but then I also saw your most recent vlog where you're performing live and you're doing all sorts of really cool stuff. So tell us who are you?
Okay, so my name is Lena. Hi. Yeah, so I am a music producer and I'm also like songwriter and performer. But so originally I'm classically trained. Uh,
Cool.
so I play violin. Like I grew up in choirs and orchestras and all this stuff. And then I did the whole singer-songwriter thing for a long time. And then I found buttons. I was like, oh, bassmen with buttons, with a lot of buttons and that make sounds and you can just change them. And oh, that's so great. So then what I did is that I figured out that I actually wanted to be a music producer. And then I went to study it. And now I'm graduated from a master's degree in music production, and I'm a lecturer and educator now as well. So I teach in a university, as well as I teach courses for women, especially in Ableton Live in Yorkshire. So I live in England. I'm originally from Finland, and yeah, so basically that's kind of about it. And yeah, I do YouTube, and I kind of realized that there is so much to do in that area, and to kind of bring that female face into YouTube more, just to kind of show that, you know, uh, we are present and we do things, and yeah, I think we need more role models in this area. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I did a video that's awesome, but my mind was going elsewhere. Like I have like five things going on in my mind. But the whole thing about the role models, because like I think I did a video. I don't forget what it was called, like being a female music producer or something. And I get a lot of comments on that from women and girls who are just happy that they like found like another female who is into the things that they're into, and is telling them to keep going, because I think it's just so important when you're able to finally see somebody doing some of the things that you really want to do for your life,
Yeah,
that you're passionate about, and it's not out
absolutely.
there.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like that's why I arrange those with my we have an organization with my friend called Emily, and we do it's called Equalized Music Production, and we arrange these only female like lessons for Ableton Live, and it's just because. So in the university where I teach, I have 80 students and I have 7 girls, right?
Oh, wow.
So that's the kind of what we're looking at. We're looking at the 5% usually anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So then after 2 days of launching all female class with female teachers, it's fully booked with people wanting to get in. And this is in a tiny town called Sheffield, comparing like, it's not like, well, Sheffield is quite big, but it's not like London or New York. You know, like it will be fully booked in 2 days. And that's the 3rd course we are arranging in Sheffield.
With women. Wait, just to be clear. So with women or?
Just women.
So the fact that you made this available and said, hey, I'm a woman doing this and this is for women, enabling that opportunity brought these women out of the woodwork. That's like STEM stuff. I mean, that's like... It
just shows that they are interested, because I think that most biggest argument is that women are just not interested.
Right.
Yes, they just don't have the confidence to come through. And I think confidence is something that I have personally needed to have a lot to be able to be where I am. And even putting yourself in a YouTube is quite vulnerable, and the comments that you get and the explaining that you get and all that, like, but I think also it's important to show men. I think having a female teacher in a university for all these guys is important. It's also showing them that, you know, if they ever work with another woman, they will understand it better, and they are less likely to say things that make the woman uncomfortable in the workplace. And it's just like representation, it's just good everywhere around. Like, is it YouTube, is it university, whatever it is, schools.
That's so cool. I didn't know that. We're all learning stuff about you, which is so cool. That's so awesome. Do you know, if you're not familiar with her, like, I was just going to turn you on to her, Erin Barra, she's teaches at Berkeley, and she teaches music production.
I think I've heard the name, definitely.
Okay, because she's done some, like, visible stuff, like podcasts talking about, like, women in electronic music and stuff. But, like, it's just, it's so important. And I just believe that, like, with people like you out there, like, and us on YouTube, like, we're helping. We're helping women everywhere who want to make music. So
we need the young girls being just like this. It's the first step of believing that it's even thinking that, oh, this could be possibility for me, because that's what, like, I never thought it was a possibility. I was going to be an actress. So till I was 21, and then I was like, oh, maybe I'm a nerd. So I was.
Yeah, and I saw, and it's true, the confidence, because I don't know what, it's sort of the whole stereotypical thing with, like, what you teach boys when they're growing up versus girls, right? So you don't, like, ask your daughter to, hey, why don't you hook up our new television and, you know, like, get all this stereo stuff connected. You know, it's just, like, you're not really enabling girls to do that. And
no, and I remember that, actually, like, now I'm realizing how much of a nerd I've always been. And I grew up, so in Finland, I would say that the gender balance is much more equal generally already. My light is flickering. But I remember that, like, I grew up with 2 big brothers and a dad who were very, very nerdy. So I remember that there was an old Windows 95 that was, like, the old one that were put aside. And one day I was, like, by myself, just decided, oh, I'm gonna hook this up to my room. And I was probably 10 maybe that time, and then I just went to my brothers, like, hey, check that out, I just have a computer in my room. And I just went to put the cables and stuff, and I always enjoyed that. But I think it's just not giving you the, like, encouragement, oh, because you're good at that, maybe you should do more stuff like that. And that's why I never realized until I was an adult that, wow, like, I actually am like interested of cables and all that fun stuff.
It's funny, because I when I was like 13, I started trying to record myself, and so I remember somebody asked me in the past few years, like, how do you know about all, like, what cable to use and, like, all this stuff? And I'm like, I've just been learning all over the years, you know? Like, I think of all those times, like, in all these years, you're like, oh, wait, I think I can get an adapter for this, and then trying to figure out like what adapter you
Yeah.
need. I've got so many cables, adapters, and like I had to buy new cables like last week for something I'm hooking up at my here, and I was like, oh my god, how do I not have this length cables? I feel like I have thousands of dollars in cables. So that's like when you know, yeah, you're a true nerd. Like the like hanging on your wall back there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have cables a lot around, and yeah.
So you talked a little bit about like your journey, so where you ended up now. Like what and you mentioned, you know, sort of switching paths. Like what inspired you to start making music? What was I mean,
Yeah, I think the fact is that I grew up in a theater, so I always been like just always thought that because I'm social, I should be in a social job. That's really
okay.
interesting. I think it's like I always everybody was like, "Oh yeah, because you're social, you're outgoing, you know, like that's your best quality." So then I realized that like I don't know. So then I thought I was going to be an actress, right?
Yeah.
And I moved to Glasgow when I was 21, and I was traveling by myself. I got a job in a nightclub, and then after every night, I was still like buzzing at like 4 or 5 a.m. And I bought microphone from Poundland, which is like a karaoke microphone, and then and I got like an analog mixing desk and a carriage band, and I started recording like funny songs to my friends in Finland as like almost like a postcard type of things, like
Mm-hmm.
just like funny weird songs that I've done in my bedroom at 4 a.m. because I was still like all wide awake because of the nightclub. And then it just kind of it was just a role after that I was just like, actually I enjoy this, and actually I get good, it's the feedback that I got from
Mm.
people
Yeah.
saying like how they reacted to that stuff, comparing how people reacted to my acting stuff. And then I got into university to study it, commercial music, which is like music business course, but they had studios in there. And then it was just like almost this kind of, also is like I felt like as a woman I was not supposed to do it, so that made me feel like, well, I'm gonna show you that I'm
Yeah.
totally gonna do it. And I had this kind of like, I don't know if it's a really Finnish mentality, because it's like if someone says that you cannot carry that, then I'm gonna break my neck carrying that thing, because I'm like, yes I can. And I'm just like like in Finland we have
Yeah.
a word for that called sisu, and it's just this kind of like, nobody's going to tell me I can't do it. And being kind of powerful, I think, was always a thing that I was taught that is a good quality to be. So I think becoming a music producer and sound engineer and stuff, it gave me a certain sense of power that like I felt strong in
Mm-hmm.
like being able to do all these things, and it made me feel good being like it was good for confidence, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. How did you so how did you get into playing the violin? Like when I mean, you must have been, how old were you when you
I
started
was
playing?
4.
Okay, so basically your parents.
So because of my parents, yeah, so I was 4 and I went to music oriented school when I was 9. So because of the music oriented school, there was all the choirs and orchestras and bands and stuff. So when I was 19, I hated music, and I was like, I really thought I'm never going to be a musician, because I was not a good musician. I was in a Finnish standard. I was not like a classically good person, because I didn't really practice and all that. I was like, I enjoy doing music, but on my own terms.
Right.
So in music production, that allows me now to use that kind of classical background, but on my own terms, that nobody's looking like, what's my finger technique and violin, or, you know.
But it's amazing because you are able to like gain all that knowledge, right? I mean, because there's a lot of us who like I started playing guitar at a young age, but I didn't really learn music theory. Like didn't ever go to school for music, you know. So I'm just, I mean, which shows you can come at making music from all angles, but to have that knowledge seems really powerful.
Yeah, and I do think like when teaching people who has the background of like doing music and teaching people who don't have the background of doing music, what I've noticed with that is that the people who don't have the background are more likely to try more things and be faster with the workflow process. So the workflow process is super different because they're less hard on themselves and they have more courage to try stuff and be doing the mistakes and stuff. Because if you've gone through the whole process of conservatoires or whatever, you are quite hard on yourself and you get stuck on these little mistakes, even though they're not mistakes. So you need to really teach yourself out of the system.
Interesting.
To be a good music producer, I think.
That is actually really interesting.
I think you have actually a good advantage in music production because you don't have that. Because actually, element of surprise is one of the best things in workflow, and element of surprise can be harder for someone who's like constantly thinking about chords and playing correctly, and then everything sounds like the same. Everything sounds like everybody else, but you might be able to faster do something much more interesting and more organic.
That's interesting, and that's inspiring for people. So thank you for sharing that. So I made a video that you don't need to know music theory to make music, because I think that's like, it's a roadblock though for a lot. I mean, it was for me for so long. So it's like I feel like it's important to tell people, especially nowadays. And I just think it's so therapeutic for those people who want to make music to just get out there and start making music. I mean, it really it just is so fulfilling. So
absolutely. And music production is great for the fact that music production is not like playing an instrument. It's a holistic way of looking at music, and it's being like the photographer of music. You put something in and you put it into time. So it's you don't necessarily like, it's an artist, you know, you have a canvas and you need to, you have paint and you have brushes and you just put it in there. So as a painter, you don't need to know techniques to be a good painter. I think the same way is as a producer, but as a guitarist, you might need to know the techniques to be a guitarist, you know, that's society.
That's an awesome analogy. I really like that. And because the other thing that I always have to remind myself, like, just because like we always compare, right? Inevitably we compare ourselves to other people, and I always remind myself like, well, no, this is your own thing because you're your own artist and this is unique and this is you, and the fact that everybody is going to paint a different picture with their own flair.
Exactly. So, like, and it's better to be you than trying to be someone else, because people only react to authenticity. We don't react to trying to be the next Mark Ronson over and over and over time. It doesn't work that way.
Yes. Except in trap music, which I hope is like coming to an end, but which I keep saying, so I'm sure anyone watching this has heard me say that before. Do you have any advice for like women? Like we've definitely talked about this because we've talked about the confidence and like, is there, I mean, just from your experiences, it sounds like it's about like gaining that confidence, but is there any other tidbits that you could throw in there, like for women out here who may be watching this?
I think it's like, don't think the goal, think about the next step. And I think that is the biggest, like, to do anything that it's outside of your comfort zone, if it's like whatever in life generally, I feel like don't think, like, make yourself a list of your goals and think what's the next step to achieve the goal. Don't think about the goal itself. So think, okay, is it learning? Is it just approaching a computer? Is that the next step? Like, just feeling comfortable with it, or asking help, asking a one-to-one tutorial with somebody, going on a course. What is the kind of the next step? Don't think that you need to be where you think you should be already. Like, just think, okay, because then when you've done the first step, the next step will feel more automatic and easier and easier and easier. And then it starts to kind of, if you have the passion, that it starts to roll itself, like it's a snowball effect. But it's the first step, because we think with everything that we want, we think the goal. We don't think like, okay, just tomorrow I'm going to send one email, and that's the first step. And then after that, okay, becoming a music producer, example, okay, the first step is I'm gonna open GarageBand example, and I'm gonna just play around and just make cool
Yeah.
sounds. You don't even make a song, you just make
Right.
sounds.
Yeah. That's such good advice because that's what stops a lot of people.
Yeah, it does.
For sure. That's
Yeah.
such good advice. So you said you use Ableton. Have you, I think, yeah, well, you teach Ableton. I'm assuming I've seen your videos.
I
Like,
teach in university, I teach Logic and Pro Tools,
okay.
but I am absolutely an Ableton girl.
Okay.
And in my YouTube channel, I focus on Ableton, and I have
Okay.
now applied to be an Ableton certified trainer. So we
Oh,
don't know what
cool.
goes with that, but that's kind of like my passion is lies with Ableton, but then same time I love Logic and Pro Tools for their own qualities.
Okay.
So I'm like, I always encourage everybody to try all of them and learn all of them, because all of them have qualities that might benefit you in a certain situation.
Right. Yeah. No, and it's so true. Like, so I used Ableton for I DJ'd for a lot of years, and so I did a lot of my edits in Ableton, and I also did a lot of my mix shows for radios in Ableton. So I had used it in that capacity, and then I've made songs on it. Like, I haven't dove into it as much as I would have liked to. And then I've been using Machine a lot because I got into Machine, and it just feels like it's just so easy to do stuff, but there's no linear sort of,
Yeah.
like song arrangement thing, which they're talking about now. I just heard some news yesterday. They're actually going to be adding that. So I'm curious to see what that's like. But point that I'm getting to is like, I want to get back into using Ableton, but I'm so addicted to Machine now. But everything does. It's sort of interesting once you start DAW hopping and seeing what the strengths are of some, that others don't have.
Absolutely.
Um,
I think that's the key thing, is that we need to, like, because Machine you can use, then you can still, you don't
in
need to
anything, yeah.
you can only add information, you can only add practice, and you can only add whatever you do, but you don't need to take it away from your practice.
Yeah.
So it's like, only like example, if you want to go back into Ableton Live and you want to add a push into your practice, where you might have seen that I have couple push to tutorials on my YouTube channel. So I'm very passionate about push to, and I even wrote my master's dissertation about workflow and push to. So
wow.
That's my level of passion about push to and Ableton generally as a workflow process. But I would say that example, the fact that even if you would like to go to that way, why would it cancel the fact that you could use Machine and push to same time on, and or using Logic, we have Rewire invented also. We have so many different ways of going between the DAWs and exploring. I think what is comfortable for you and what's comfortable for your practice, it's of course the main key thing. But I think we have a lot of like stuff in audio industry saying that this is the right way, you need to choose one, you need to do the it's like
yeah, you can make music on all of them, and I think like that's the biggest thing, is like just figuring out your workflow, because and how you work quickest, and how you can be most creative and have the most fun.
Yes.
So, and absolutely. I mean, and I think like that's like working natively in Machine is what I like. I mean, I want to push myself to use Machine with Ableton. It's just a different workflow. So yeah, so we'll see. But it's true. Like, there's just so many options nowadays, which is really awesome. And on that, like, do you have any favorite VSTs? Like any plugins, whether it be instruments, effects, like any go-tos? I know Ableton stock does a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I would say, because I was thinking about this actually, because I get asked this quite a lot, and I feel like it's a difficult one, because I personally believe that like you will, because everything, okay, like example compressors, I think you are fine with 5 amazing compressors, but until you know exactly what those compressors do and how they sound, and why would you need another compressor, and which compressor would you need because of their specific quality, that's where I would go and buy that. but I'm not a person who buys those packs more and more and more and gets like all the free VSTs and stuff. I kind of like the stuff in Ableton Live. I like the ones in Logic. So I would say my favorites ones that I use all the time is definitely the compressor in Ableton Live. It's like, I just love it. It's just so great. Otherwise, I do like, I have bought the Complete 10. So I have Complete 10 and I do love the stuff from there. And to be honest, that's been keeping me quite satisfied, is like having that stuff and Complete 10. And then if I have needed something for a specific reason, then I have gone into and bought something. But I'm also interested of Max, and I've started to Reactor Blocks and Pure Data. So I'm kind of interested of coding my own plugins and the science behind that. So I'm kind of, instead of like maybe going to buy stuff, I've been really interested of learning to make them by myself.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I have the Ableton suite, which is just insane with Max, and like you get every instrument. And I mean, I don't know how to make I'm not making my own sounds, but like, I mean, the synth, like Granulator, there's just so many options in there to design your own sounds. So I love when I talk to Ableton people and there's like, yeah, no, Ableton really has it all, which I know it does, because I've heard people making music in Ableton with everything stock Ableton, you know, like nothing else, and it's awesome music.
And I would say that like, I've been using Ableton Live for like years, and I really try to study everything in it. But I would say it's going to take me another 5 years to really learn everything that's in it.
Right.
So it's like, I'm more that kind of personality that I like knowing exactly what the plugins do, like inside out. And then I go and buy stuff when I after I've learned all this, then I will go. But I don't know. I think it's interesting. But then in Logic, like I love everything in Ableton. That's what I use most. But I do go and do a pitch correction in Logic.
Okay.
Using Flex, I do like that.
And just even like mixing or like Ableton sometimes just frustrates me with like I wish I could make like the volume everything bigger, like for each track, like the little like
so many people say that. I mean, like, that doesn't bother me at all. I actually get confused about the Logic ones. I feel like it's too floppy.
Because like in Studio One, like I can like all the channels, like all the tracks, like the faders, like I can resize everything and just see all the sends and like see everything very well. Studio One. In Ableton, I'm like, what is that? I can't say. Is that peaking?
What's them though?
I don't know. Maybe it might just be my computer. I don't know, the resolution of my screen. But I probably should just magnify my screen and then I'd be happier. That's probably my solution.
No, I've heard this before about Ableton Live, like as a criticism on the
what's you've talked about the Push 2, but is that if somebody said what is your favorite piece of gear, would you say the Push 2 right now, or is there something else that you've been really into?
I would say Push 2, but I'm getting really into like any type of synths. Like, for example, I have the best husband ever buying me, like, because he's an antique dealer, so he goes to a lot of like corporate sales and stuff, and so he finds a lot of like stuff with a lot of buttons on it, but he has no idea what they are. And this was the latest, and I was like, I know what that is.
That's so funny.
I'm really kind of getting into more like analogy sounds and getting like also using microbrute synthesizers, and maybe like syncing them together and also using Push with them. So using them as like a collaborative way of syncing things. So I'm kind of really into that, syncing things up and mixing them up and seeing because I feel like that brings a really nice element of surprise. into the mix where you kind of, example, bring a sequence into Ableton Push 2 and use a simpler in that to then play it back into the session as a drum pad. So I do like that. And then you can manipulate the samples in a further way. So that's cool.
Very cool. Yeah, I saw you have some Pocket Operator videos, and you're playing around with all sorts of fun things.
It's so pretty. I like because it's like a necklace. Because I can feel like it's like part of my outfit.
That's awesome. Do you have any gear that's on your wish list, like that you want?
Oh my God, do I? Honestly. I feel like generally I'm not. I don't understand how people have money to have their studios that they have. Like, I have just so much stuff on my wish list. I do have a lot of teenage engineering stuff that I really would like. I'm really interested in OP1 and OPZ. Those were like something that I would be really interested of having. But then I would love some type of modular. Like, I know if you get into modular synths, So I was thinking that instead of like getting an empty rack and starting to fill it out, I was thinking that if I would get like one of those kind of Euro racks that were already kind of filled, like ready ones that you can get, I was thinking that one of those would be so great to kind of just get a Euro rack, but then I'm not getting into the hole of just buying new one all the time. So, but yeah, and microphones. I have so many microphones that I want to have.
Yeah, microphones can be an addiction for sure.
And amps and pedals. Yeah. I think it's just like guitar pedals. I think that's another thing. It's like I would love to get into that, but that's another hole that you can get really deeply into. And yeah. So I think when you talk about wish lists with any producer, it's probably going to be exactly like you start thinking, and then I want that, and then this one, and this one. Oh, and native. I would love having the new native Launchpad Mini.
Novation.
Novation. Sorry.
Novation.
So yeah, the Novation Launchpad Mini. I'd love to have that because I went to the party where they like launched that. And it's so small. It's so.
Is that I think you're talking about this one because there's like so many launch pads, but the one that just came out. So is that this?
It's that one, but
smaller. Smaller.
Yeah,
okay.
Like tiny one.
This is like the Launchpad MK3. What the heck? I don't even know.
That was.
Launchpad. This is Launchpad Pro. Sorry.
Yeah.
I picked that one up because I was like, I'm gonna play in Ableton, and I had the Push 2 a while ago, and I sold that, and so, yeah, that was a while. I wasn't using it. I don't know. I just like, it's hard sometimes finding your groove. I don't know, because you just like, if you just can't get past the wall of using something and you're not using it, and you're like, it's collecting dust, and I'm telling myself I need to use it, but I'm not. It's like, okay, I got to sell it.
I know.
I try to look at some of this gear as like investments. So if I sense something new might be coming out, and I feel like everybody's been thinking there's been like going to be a new Push forever, I like sold it before I like thought there was going to be a new Push, and then there wasn't.
Yeah, I know. I have no idea what's going to happen. I think it's going to be interesting to see what they can invent more. I know it's going to go to more, like when I was studying it, my predictions about the new Push 2 or Push 3 is it maybe is that it's going to be more interactive, more reactive. It's going to be focusing more on so that you can still control the whole DAW with it. So with Push 2 you can control whole Ableton Live with it, and the power of using Max with it, example that you can just turn it on and it turns on the whole studio. Like it's that, like you can integrate it that much. But I feel like when it comes to the pads and stuff, I feel like they are now, like this is just my prediction.
Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna go to the way where we're gonna interact with something like pushes and interfaces in a way like an instrument. So it's not just a controller. It's not just that we press buttons. It's we interact with the buttons, and we're gonna. Because example, what Push 2 already allows you to do is that we can use it more textile with our hands and with our like body.
Yeah.
Differently. So I feel like the future of controllers is going to go to more to that way, bit like the Roland, no, the Rolly, where you can
C
like slide
locks.
fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Okay.
I feel like that's the kind of direction. That's my prediction. It's
And it
gonna go.
makes sense because like I have the Akai Force, which is something else I'm trying to. I'm not spending enough time with it, and that's my it's my blocker. I'm just not spending enough time like learning it. I've had it for a while. I was excited about it, very excited, and then just haven't really used it. But point being is that it does have a touch screen. And you can do the XY like effect stuff on there.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I know that Akai had helped develop the push, and so there's obviously a potential that some of the touch capability that's in the Akai Force is sort of, I don't know, a start to what may be the push 3. I mean, I'd like to think
Yeah,
so.
I think it's going to be the future, like next 5-10 years is going to be the development of going that we feel like something like push can be more an instrument. So
Yeah.
it's that we react. So example, the fact that can you, what I was asking in my study was like, can you hear an electronic musician the same way behind an electronic instrument, the same way that you can hear a pianist behind a piano?
It's
And
interesting.
I think that's the kind of direction that we're going to go, that they become so interactive and so like the element of surprise and the element of like reactivity and the interaction comes in that level. We can use them as controllers, but also as a like we actually need to practice
Expression.
them like instruments.
Yeah, really cool.
Yes.
What what kind of music do you listen to? We haven't really talked about that, right?
Literally everything. I'm a bit weird one for that, I think, because I was classically trained, and in my school with my friends, we didn't really talk about bands. We didn't talk about popular music much. So we talk about Mozart, like the piece that we sing in a choir, like that kind of stuff. So then when I moved to UK, I actually understood how less I know about music, popular music.
Okay.
So then I think I really don't have a genre, and I don't have those preconceived ideas of, oh, Taylor Swift is like not cool to listen to. I really appreciate the production that is on behind her tracks, or example, but then I can listen easily. I've been listening to Air, like the AIR. I love synthwave. I like anything that's like dark and melancholic.
Okay.
So I would say that that's my genre, like dark and melancholic. Anything that goes under that bracket, but then same time anything that is under popular music. But then same time I do like some stuff that is more rock and some more that is punk, and
yeah, a bit of everything.
Interesting music.
Yeah. And I think that's important though, because like so one of the superpowers I feel like I have is like my music vocabulary is like humongous. Like, I don't know, I just started listening to music at an early age and listened to like everything.
Yeah.
Except for like really like death metal, and there are definitely some like hardcore like genres that wasn't my thing. But like I feel like it's so important to listen to everything, because like you're saying, you can appreciate the production value, but like I also feel like you can take pieces from certain genres and just sort of gain something from that can help you mold your own style or
yeah.
So,
and I feel like as a musician, like as you watch my last vlog, I'm kind of being lost with my own music style and stuff. But I think now I'm kind of realizing that one genre that I'm gravitating as a music maker, not maybe listening, but is definitely like dance music and house music, but like with my weird like aspects of it. So example, using something like a violin with the house music, or like I like the contrast of electronic sounds and dance music with acoustic sounds, and the world of, I don't know, I think I'm gravitating towards making that kind of music right now, and I think it's quite interesting because I like rhythm, but then I like textures and I like contrasts, but let's see what happens.
Do you listen to like Spotify? Like, where do you listen to your music? Or Apple Music or any of
Yeah, I
those?
do
Or
listen to Spotify quite a lot.
oh,
I feel like I should listen more music, to be honest.
no.
I feel like
Well,
I
it's
feel quite embarrassed to say that I don't think I listen music every day. I feel like because I do it so much, it's almost like when you put music on, it sometimes feels like I just want quietness, or I want to
yes,
listen to a podcast, or I just want
makes
like
sense.
um I just want to kind of rest my ears. So then when I sometimes like if I actually my husband has a really nice collection of vinyls and stuff, so he does mostly like play stuff to me like a lot. So that's a really good way for me to also
Yeah,
listen.
that's awesome. But I've totally heard people. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say that they, they don't listen to that much music, and it makes sense. Like sometimes you do need that quiet time. Like my time that I get to listen to music is when I'm in the car alone, which isn't all that often.
Yeah.
Once, and then I mean, like sometimes when I'm working and the work that I do, sometimes I just need to play some music to motivate me. It's computer work, but to motivate me to,
Absolutely, yeah. That's how I
So,
see it as well. It's like it's almost like this motivational, emotional connection for me with music. It's like when I listen to music, it's stuff that make me feel good and make me. So I do use Spotify for that. So I have like certain albums that I've put on, like saved on Spotify, and then I
mhm.
kind of end up going quite a lot to the same ones. But then I sometimes listen to the new, like a playlist of new music and trying to figure out new sounds. But
Yeah.
then I always listen to like my friends' songs and stuff as well, and just to see kind of what everybody does. And also I think supporting your friends and people who make music is so important to see what's going on in the
Yeah.
world. And yeah, I do update my, like I do like listening like new music, just because I like keeping up with, I want to know what's going on with trends and
Mhm.
production and what people do production wise, especially. I think it's really
Yeah.
important to keep on top of that.
So moving on to another topic, which we've talked about, but what motivates you to keep going? Like in you know, we started out talking about this, obviously some of the motivation, but I don't know if you're having a tough day or you just feel stuck in something you're doing. Like, what is it that like you just think about and you're like, okay, I'm gonna keep moving forward with this.
I think for me, structure, and the idea that, like, especially with YouTube, I've been posting once a week for a year now, and slightly over a year. So I post every single Sunday.
Good for you. That's awesome.
But it's hard because it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. But that motivates me. It does actually, like giving
Mhm.
myself a schedule that I cannot break. I just can't.
Right.
I literally just can't. But it makes me feel good because when I feel like I'm hangover or I'm tired and I really don't want to film,
Mhm.
when I start doing it, I enjoy so much. And I start
Yeah.
enjoying making music, or I end up being in the studio all day just to make music or just to jam or just filming and stuff. Because I think I'm kind of like, if I don't give myself the structure, I'm not going to do it. But also, what I realized last year is that if you want something, it's like it's your own responsibility to get it.
Mhm.
Nobody comes and does it for you, and nobody gives you what you want. Like it's
Mhm.
your own responsibility. And then find, like, that inspires me as well, because it's almost like a game for me. It's kind of seeing like, what can I do in this world? Like what are all the things I can, do? Because if that's true, then we can do whatever we want to do. So
Yeah.
that kind of inspires me to kind of see like, well, if I can learn this, maybe I can learn this as well, who knows? And kind of taking away the ego out of it, and like thinking that um maybe like if someone else can do it, then I should never say I cannot do it until I tried it. And it might not be good at all,
Yeah.
but that's all right, because I feel like people usually just see the success, but they never see that actually between the success there's a lot of good.
I
So
I like that mentality. That's really nice.
yeah, so
Um,
I think like, but then to be able to keep that going is structure for me. Like
yeah.
to give yourself guidelines.
And now that you've been doing like one video a week for a year, like you don't want to miss that. You're like, oh,
Oh
like,
no.
like you've been doing it so long, you don't want to mess that up.
Oh no, exactly. It's like it's way too far to go to not to post once a week. So I'm like, and unfortunately, amazingly, my whole life is now molding around that. So I feel like, I made time for that. That is now part of my life, and that's my job. Like, I still don't earn money from it, but I'm still doing it because I feel like I'm succeeding in something. Like, at least like for myself, I like, it's good to be able to say that I've done something for a year every single Sunday.
Yeah, it's like working out, right? It's like once you start going to the gym, and
I wish I would do that with working out. That would be fun.
Yeah, no, that's really awesome. So do you have you like set up like a 1-year goal, a 5-year goal? Like, are you one of those people that like set up goals for your channel, or just for like what you're doing in life?
No, that's interesting, because I would say that I have dreams, but those dreams are not like, I don't call them realistic dreams. I call them passions and something that drives me forward.
Okay.
But then I think I have like half a year goals. I think I kind of go half a year at a time. I've never been a person to plan for 5 years, because I know that might not happen, just because, not in a negative way, in a positive way of, I give myself the space to do what the mistakes are. But then same time, the 5-year plan could be a dream. Like, I want to produce more people. I want to have my own studio at one point, like all these kind of like goals that I have in life generally, that like they're fun to think about. But maybe this comes back to the idea of, I want to take one step at a time. So I have the idea of, I have a dream, but same time, my first step is now I'm enjoying to do YouTube. Let's see how that goes. Let's see where that brings. But then same time, I can aim that towards certain things that kind of inspires me and I can see myself doing in the future.
Yeah, I mean, like 5 years is a long time, right? So like you're saying, like there may be lots of pivots. So, I mean, I find in my life, like you set out to do one thing and it leads you, like you're saying, turn a different way and you're like, oh, I like this. And I don't know, I think that it's important to also be open to that as an individual.
Absolutely. And I have way too much stuff I want to do in this life. Like, if I want to do all that, I'm just going to be disappointed, because I literally have no time to do everything I want to do.
Yeah.
So it's like, but what I can just do is that, I can concentrate to these passions now, and then like in 5 years time, I'm probably going to be concentrating to the other passions. Yeah. So who knows, like, I don't want to know what happens. I rather keep it a secret for myself, and I rather just keep surprising myself, because like living on the edge, keeping myself on the toes, is that a saying? Like, I like that, because that makes me work harder. I feel like it, like making myself not to know what's happened, and like being kind of not secure with money and not being secure with things keeps me doing more stuff, and I like not being too secure.
It's funny because like I tend to ask this every time I talk to people about the goals, and like I always, as I ask it, I always think to myself, well, I don't have my goals. I don't write out my goals either. Like I don't have like a goal written out. And some people do, they're very much like, you write it down if you really want it to happen type of like mentality.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I'm more like you. I'm like, I have like the basic goal, which is like, now my one goal really is don't stop. Just keep going. Like, I mean, it's like a broader like thing, just because I see what stopped me in the past, and like, so it's just like, that's my goal with music and with YouTube. Just keep going.
But I think it's like, if you have things way too planned, then it can take you places that you didn't actually want to go, and then you can feel really lost with it, because we might not be the same tomorrow as we are today. So it's like, our mentality can change so fast, and I rather not give myself that kind of structure, because who knows what I can think about tomorrow. Like I
Yeah.
rather just like think what kind of passions, like what my goal is today, and then you have the overall goals that can change and mold, and those today's
Yeah.
goals kind of take you towards those things, but who knows what happens between.
Yeah. And like I think you're saying that, I'm like, and this is just the craziest time in the world right now. I like didn't sleep last night. I swear, like I kept waking up like, I don't know, with dreams that like I was infected with the coronavirus. Like it was like, I don't know what. It's like it's just crazy. It's just a
Like
crazy
who knows
time.
what's gonna happen with that? Who knows?
I don't know.
Like there's no, I rather just think like, okay, I don't
Yeah.
want to know, because then at least we can go one day at a time, and
Yeah.
just like just one day at a time. That's fine. And then, you know, it's worked for me this far, and I have no regrets of anything that I would have wanted to do more, I wanted to do less. And I feel like, you know, who knows?
Who knows?
We can do everything. We can do, you know, it can be happen.
It's been really inspiring talking to you. Like I'm so excited that you wanted to talk to me and take this opportunity.
Absolutely.
So it's been fun, and I hope that we definitely like stay in touch. And
Yes.
I know we talked a little before we started recording about collaborating, so that would be cool to do something.
I think definitely we should definitely do some kind of collaboration video. Like I feel like we should maybe, who knows, maybe like doing one song together.
Oh.
Type of thing. I don't know. That could be
Yeah. I've never done anything like that. I mean, I see other channels do it, and I'm like, okay, like I don't know if I'm there yet, but this is a good way to like push myself and do something fun.
You just do. As I said, like I feel like, to be honest, we concentrate way too much on proving how good we are and who's the best in audio, but what I always say for my students is like, only what's right in audio is the science, how signal works. Everything else is bullshit. Like you do, like if you use the 1 pound microphone and a carriage band and you call yourself a music producer, then you are a music producer. You know, like
hits have been made that way. Hits have been made that way. So yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's no right or wrong. Like what's the outcome? That's what matters. Like how does it sound? How does people interact with it, and do they like it? And do you like it? I think that's the most important thing. Like we should not just compare and like be too hard on ourselves. Like, do we have the money for the gear, and do we have the best gear, and all that is like just work with what you have and what makes funny sounds. Enjoy pressing buttons.
And that's why I think like Ableton is a good, I mean, I know but I think like that's why Ableton's like a really good like first DAW choice for a lot of people, because like it is so powerful, like out of the box.
Absolutely.
And I wish I spent more time with it.
Well, who knows? Maybe in 5 years that's your new thing.
Exactly. And like you said, there's always time. I mean, there's time for everything. And I think that's like, I know I do that to myself, because in the sense that there's so many things I want to do, and I want to do them right now. And I, unfortunately, just really don't have a lot of time at all right now. And I'm always frustrated by that. And I'm trying to figure out where to find it, but sometimes you just can't find it anywhere. Like we're doing this, like I woke up, so we started at 5:45 a.m. my time, Eastern time. You know, and yeah, it's tough getting up that early when you know, it's like,
I felt so bad.
But no, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad, because it's all, I mean, so when I was really doing good making the most music, I literally was getting up at like 5 a.m. and I was making music from like 5 a.m. till about 6:30. But it's hard to like get yourself, like I got off that path because we have a little one who was then waking up really early. Yeah. So, it's, she's a little over 1 now. So things are getting a little better. But the thing is like, so I got out of that early thing, but I want to get back into it because it's in my house. This is like the best time because it's quiet. Everybody's sleeping. It's quiet. I'm fresh eyes because I work a computer job all day. So that's the tough thing. So once you're like sitting behind a desk all day long, from 8 to let's say 5:30, it's hard at night, like once the kids go to bed at 8:30 to then sit back in front of a computer.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You don't really want to do that.
So it's just this, whatever. But I mean, this is my struggle, and I'm obviously figuring it out. I'm obviously still getting stuff done. And
I think like many people will identify with that, that problem of like time for all of us, way or another. Like even if you would do exactly what you wanted every single day and you had all the time, you still don't feel like you're gonna have enough time. Unfortunately, like we're never gonna have enough. Well, I'd rather keep it that way, because at least that again keeps me on the toes of working hard and just, you know.
Yeah. It's true. The struggle. The struggle. Yeah, absolutely. And I heard it's really good, because I was talking to someone else recently, like, you know, everybody's scared of Alzheimer's and like your brain deteriorating, and apparently it's been studied, learning new things helps keep your mind like fresh, and, you know, maybe and I don't know, for some reason, like not as susceptible to Alzheimer's, or so so, which is crazy, because I'm like, okay, I always love learning new things. So, and I don't know why. I think because I've seen some of my elderly relatives got Alzheimer's, and like that's like crappy disease.
I think like we have all these scares of like what's gonna happen, and what if like you know, everybody's of course like thinking like, oh, am I gonna die? Blah blah blah. Like all this what's that? General like life crisis, and am I going to be able to do all the things I want to? But I think like, because people talk about, this is like one of my things is what kind of keeps me going as well, is that when I was traveling, about like when I was 21 or stuff, and everybody was saying like carpe diem, and you get tattoos of carpe diem, and stay in time, you know, living the moment. And I was like, how the hell are you gonna do that? Like, how do you live in a moment? But then I started to I realized that because of this one thing, I realized that one better way for me to actually live in the moment is asking why not. So it's like, if you get an opportunity, if you actually don't want to, if you have a really good reason not to do it, then just don't do it. But otherwise, it's just asking, well, why not? Because then that keeps you learning, that keeps you going forward, that keeps you like just saying like, why not? Like, if there's actually not good reason, then
why not? Oh, I'm glad you tied that all together, because I was taking us down a crazy path. So on that note, let's end on that like awesome awesomeness. So thank you so much today. All the links for everybody, they're like totally down below. So go and visit Lena and follow her and check out her YouTube channel and all that fun stuff. And have a great day. Carpe diem.
Yes, exactly. Carpe diem.
All right. Take care. Bye.